Hello and welcome to Watching Movies Late at Night, where tonight we're going to be reviewing the debut film of one budding filmmaker, Eli Roth.
The man who taught us to seek better accommodations when you're on vacation actually had that message ingrained even in his first feature film, Cabin Fever.
And even though the film doesn't actually follow the definition of cabin fever, it still has the idea of people getting sick in a cabin, so I guess it's not entirely misleading.
But let's take a quick look at Eli Roth himself. Alright, so
Eli Roth is actually a big horror movie fan, and Cabin Fever is supposed to be a throwback tribute type film to his favorite movies. More specifically, stuff like the goofy 80s type classic horror movies that I usually review on the show anyways.
So with that in mind, if you're seriously coming into this movie expecting real deal horror like this is some stupid new wave French extremity bullshit, then the exits are marked at the sides of the theater.
But rest assured, I will take every frame of this film as seriously as any other critic does. So let's begin this celluloid atrocity called Cabin Fever.
The opening credits begins and we see that the film had music written by Angelo Badalamenti, who's known mainly for his work with David Lynch and stuff like Twin Peaks.
Well, holy shit, I love the score to Twin Peaks. Let's hear some of Angelo's work right now in the credits. Oh man, I need that on vinyl.
After that, it's our introduction to the main characters. They're a group of teenagers who decide to go to a cabin to party for that weekend.
Wow, seriously, Eli Roth? You couldn't think of any other possible setup for your film? So unoriginal and bland.
The group of friends, on their way to the cabin, stop to grab supplies at the store. Paul over here then tries to make friends with the locals.
What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?
Cat didn't get his tongue. Your fucking hand did.
So the group makes it to the cabin and immediately these two start to fuck.
Because nothing girds up the loins as much as the smell of an old musty room in a cabin in the woods.
Paul decides to go on a walk with Karen, a girl he's apparently crushed on since the 7th grade? How in the hell has this guy not made a move yet? These people are in fucking college!
Paul's missing out on the sexual sides of things, unlike his friend Jeff.
But eventually he does make it to first base with her after 5 years of waiting for it? Either way, his kissing wasn't that good as it made her fall off the platform and
Oh shit! Watch out for that speedboat!
Just kidding, of course. That was at the other side of the lake, where the summer camp is at.
Meanwhile, their friend Bert, while on a mission to kill squirrels,
Why would you want to kill squirrels?
Because they're gay?
accidentally manages to instead shoot Rickety Cricket.
Oh, fuck!
And handles the situation very calmly and orderly.
Fuck!
Or about as calm as a student neurosurgeon who drank 5 cans of Monster before an operation.
Later that night, the gang has a campfire and Paul tells a story about a bowling alley he used to go to as a kid, where, as he says, a murder happened during a break-in.
And then the robber, this sick maniac,
Starts to eat pizza in the middle of a bowling alley. Who does that? Also, for some reason, Eli Roth pops up in his story, and then after Paul finishes, he pops up next to them.
I think if you say his name enough times, he'll actually appear next to you, so for the remainder of the review, we're not going to be saying his name. Just to be safe.
Oof-faced!
Oh, so that's where that clip is from. Don't know why I used it in my other reviews before I actually did this movie, but that sure shows me for stealing other reviewers' jokes.
The group is initially pensive of Justin, but
Nobody told him it was gonna be acid rain.
so the hermit from earlier that Bert shot apparently found his way to the cabin, asking for help. So, do these teenagers do the right thing?
No.
What you think? Of course they did.
The group is initially conflicted about what to do with the hermit, but they get their mind set as somehow the hermit managed to turn on their truck.
Am I really supposed to believe that a group of teenagers would leave their keys in the ignition? Because I sure as hell do! Hot wiring is common knowledge amongst hobos.
The hermit did find a way to extinguish the fire.
If Camp Crystal Lake could still operate with a dead little boy at the bottom of the lake, then I'm pretty sure there's no problem with a dead infected hobo in theirs.
Paul then comforts a distressed Karen, traumatized over the fact that they literally burnt another man alive. Although everything is fine as Paul offers her a nice glass of water.
A glass of water with a big fucking ball of muck on the bottom of it. And Karen still drinks it. Was she from Michigan or something?
Either way, Jeff and Bert managed to find someone that could possibly help. But after discovering that they're a relative of the person they basically killed the night prior, they decide not to accept her hospitality.
Why didn't they want to accept her help? She was a good Samaritan. And yes, even if you cooked her cousin to a crisp, God always taught us to forgive.
Afterwards, we see Paul encounter a policeman who has very odd priorities.
I'm telling you, man, this is a major party town. Just party. That's when I party in Wambusa. Yeah, I bet you like to party with the ladies.
Which makes sense. He's the party coordinator at the station. Just look at what a great job he did for my friend Leon.
Later on in the day, Paul comes back to check on Karen, who isn't feeling very good. And it seems like he might hit second base this time.
Sorry, I forgot. They're just friends, so they just end up cuddling. If Paul was a creep or something, he'd probably do something to her while she sleeps. You fucking creep. No, I'm not making one. 2 episodes in a goddamn row.
And if he honestly thought he was hitting where he thought he was hitting, then he deserved to be friend-zoned for all of that time. Anyways, everybody is in a panic as a result of Paul's discovery, and so they put Karen in quarantine.
Better close the door, Marcy. Don't want to infect everyone.
No, but you'll certainly kill someone from the secondhand smoking and possible forest fire.
And while Paul was out trying to find help for Karen, he gets distracted.
Oh, God. What are you doing?
And what the hell is this guy doing outside the house anyways? Just taking a walk to get the blood vessels ready for 5 minutes of intimacy?
In the following morning, Paul and Marcy try to load Karen onto the truck as it was fixed earlier in the scenes I neglected to talk about. However, as a result of Bert drinking some tap last night, he's also coming down with the fever.
So this isn't really much of a cabin fever, it's much more like a water infection. But that's not much of a good title, so we are still cabin fever. Alright everyone, woo! People thought this was gonna be a serious horror movie.
So he bites Bert's hand and upon realizing that infected blood doesn't really taste good, backs off. Dennis's dad doesn't take this too lightly though, for even though it wasn't Bert's fault, he still manages to chase after him with his own gang.
Because if your kid injures themselves, it's better to blame the concrete that cut their knee.
Paul then manages to encounter a dead body in the water and does the wisest course of action by intentionally poking at it with a stick.
Who knows, maybe there's an ancient mythological mask underneath it and that's why he did it.
But there was no green mask. Afterwards, Paul does arrive back at the cabin, too late to save Marcy.
Oh man, I hope Karen's alright. Well, at least he kissed her while he had the chance.
And he'd still get a part of her on his lips again as her fucking blood goes all over his face.
So that's like 3 strikes for Paul. Yeah, that motherfucker is most definitely infected.
After that, we then see Bert find his way back to the cabin and also the guys from the store, although they're in for a
Or their harmonicas. Ugh.
Party cop over here is angrier at Paul, not just for being the very murder suspect he got warned about on the radio, but for ruining the party.
Why is the cop such a one-note character in this movie? In a movie where there's scenes like this and this.
That old guy touch you?
I expect realistic, fleshed out characters, alright?
Paul knocks out Party Cop and manages to finally get to the hospital, where he sees that the people who own this hospital probably also own the Overlook Hotel.
As hell not the day!
And what? This whole scene is just Night of the Living Dead's ending. I can't believe how lazy the filmmaker responsible is for just copy and pasting other people's work into his.
Why would someone steal bits of their inspiration's work to show their gratitude? I'd never do that!
This sequence is then followed by a group of kids who apparently make lemonade out of river water, with a dead body in it for extra flavor.
At least it's better than the free lemonade and iced tea that you'd find in parking lots. Those are just too bitter.
I mean, the references are so clear-cut and obvious. Aside from the cabin premise, the paranoia element it's supposed to have is definitely from The Thing, this ass shot is from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Jeff's death is lifted from Night of the Living Dead.
Now, this film is by no means a masterpiece, but to tear it apart as if it already wasn't meant to be a clear tribute to other horror films is clearly missing the point.
The overly unnecessary gore and nudity, stupid decisions by the characters, and wonky plot can all be used to describe many other horror films of the past that were doing it unintentionally. So, what can I say about this film when it's doing it intentionally? Maybe I'm giving the filmmaker a bit too much credit here, but let's be honest, this film doesn't really care. It's meant to be a cheap flick to pop on and not care about, so there's really no point to go further on about it.
Cabin Fever in that respect did achieve that at the very least, and I'm gonna give credit where it's due. So, we've been watching movies late at night and hope to see you guys at dawn. Now excuse me, I'm gonna go drink some water.
Ooh, faced!